Well, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi show. Jeff Heggie and Heidi Anderson, we're both here and we're with Cameron Sorsby. Great to have him on with us. And what I want to do to introduce Cameron is just talk about a few things that I got introduced to him through Lolita. And I want to just tell you what was said in this email that I got. And it really says a lot about what he's doing and the direction their company is going. So she says, I work for a company called Praxis. We're an online boot camp that helps young people learn business skills and land their first full-time job as a tech startup. And then she goes on to talk about some of the different things. And she says, our boot camp covers mindsets and secrets that many people wish they had learned before they started their first job opportunity. I'm talking about things like how to impress people you look up to and make them lifelong connections, how to overcome lack of experience, how to use a values proposition to put yourself in the top of the hiring manager's list, how to be the first person people think of when you have a cool new project. And, she just goes on to talk about how the focus is on helping young people get really that first step and have that boost and get into doing things. And so I'm excited to talk about this more today. And maybe Cameron, if I can turn it over to you, give yourself a little bit of an introduction for yourself. That was kind of what you're heading up with your company, but tell us who you are as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Lolita mentioned, the CEO of Praxis, I actually just took over the company halfway through 2019. I was with the company essentially from the beginning. And, a little bit about myself, I really fell into a more entrepreneurial career path. Growing up, I just wanted to be on playing sports, being on the soccer field mostly. And I loved learning, but I never really took to a classroom environment. So I think a lot of those early experiences shaped my passion for what we do at Praxis. But I really had to learn, I had to discover through different experiences, through high school, college, early career as a young professional, what types of career opportunities were best suited for me, and then really pursue those and build the right skill set for those. I was not a natural, born natural entrepreneur by any means, but it's interesting. I don't think you have to be to be a good fit for running a business per se.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm just excited to learn more about you and what Praxis is doing. So one thing that stood out to me there that I want to just touch on, because I'm seeing a repeat pattern of this, talking to entrepreneurs on a podcast that I was a guest on. It came up in that conversation as well. And just briefly talk about this is athletics. You talked about soccer. I know you're a big NBA fan. I've played basketball, all sorts of sports all my life. I still coach basketball. Heidi was a Div 1 basketball player. And so, yeah, what impact on your entrepreneurial journey have sports had, and how has that influenced you?
Yeah, so it's funny because, growing up, if you're competitive and really into sports, I don't think you're taught to see how directly sports develops specific skills, specific business skills, professional skills, et cetera, down the road. So a lot of this, I think I've become more aware of in hindsight as I've, been working and gaining experience, and like, oh, wow, actually a lot of like the personal skills that I've developed and that I use on a regular basis now, I think really were taught and instilled in me I think 90% from my sports experience growing up. Simple things of like just being on a team, and you have all these different personalities on a team, and especially if you're viewed more as a leader on that team, you have to figure out how to work with different personalities, what motivates somebody that maybe tends to be a little bit more shy or timid versus someone that maybe has a stronger personality and they need someone that's going to like step up to their level. And then, so a lot of those personal skills, and also like being in a position at a young age to get to build relationships with mentors and coaches and you just like adults in more authoritative positions, I think has been really valuable. And then one little thing that I think gets overlooked, but the club soccer team I was on for most of my childhood, they really focused on teaching us like just how to approach the game and our team with a strong sense of professionalism. So even at like 11 or 12, everybody on our team, like we had to go set up our own email. We were responsible for communicating with our coaches and trainers. And like if practice was getting canceled for some reason, like we were the ones receiving those emails. We were responsible. It wasn't just, hey, parents, this is the time and place to be, make sure your kid gets there type of thing. So
Right.
I think that just accelerated my own maturity. And, honestly, I think I learned more that I apply today from sports than I did necessarily, sitting in a classroom 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I think a lot of people get more from the real world than they do from sitting in a classroom for any length of time.
Sure.
But I was looking at your LinkedIn profile and what your company does, and it looks kind of like you do, like it's apprenticeships, like you set young people up to kind of work alongside entrepreneurs and learn how to be an entrepreneur, learn that business. Am I understanding that properly?
Yeah, it's slightly broader than that. We through the boot camp, we prepare them and then we place them in a variety of entry level jobs at like smaller growing companies. So they're, compared to your more stereotypical like corporate 9-to-5 cubicle position, they're going into small businesses where they can get exposed to more than just like one specific type of work. They can build relationships with department leads and business owners and other leaders and stuff. And it's really, a lot of our participants tend to be very entrepreneurial, see themselves as like, hey, I'm looking to start my own business, whether it's a year from now, 5 years from now, or longer down the road. But it's also, our approach is, hey, at this stage, you don't know what you want to do. And if you think you do, you're probably wrong. Just your career is a discovery process and you need to get started. So Praxis kind of serves as that starting point. And I think more than anything, our focus is on helping you take an entrepreneurial approach to your career long-term.
Very cool. So is this all strictly in Denver, or where are you?
It's all over the country. And
okay.
so the boot camp itself that's run remotely. So we're very fortunate that that's always been the setup. So we haven't had to have like any big transition with what's going on right now. And then, so the boot camps run remotely. Our participants, they're coming from all over the country. And then we have companies as hiring partners that are also all over the country, and we make that match after they go through the boot camp. And then most of the time they're relocating for the job opportunities. So they also get the experience of having to move to a new city at a young age, and you have to figure out how to like set up your life on your own. But obviously you get the support of the program and the alumni network and everything like that.
How old are the people you work with? Are they like right out of college, right out of high school? What is your average age?
Yeah, average age is 20, 21. It's really that college age. And about 80% of our participants are doing Praxis instead of going to college at all, or they found Praxis while they were in college and were kind of dissatisfied with their college experience and thought, hey, this seems like more my style. And then we do work with young professionals that are either like recent college grads, or maybe they're 3 to 5 years into their career and they figured out like, hey, I want to pursue a more, entrepreneurial or business path for myself.
So tell us more about the boot camp, what it involves, how long it is, and really what are these kids, or I don't know, they're probably not all kids either. There's probably some that are past what we would call kid, but tell us what they go through.
Sure. So the boot camp, it's 6 months in length, and the first 3 to 4 months it's like the slightly more like formal education and training. And then the second half of the boot camp is really geared towards the placement process and how to job hunt at a much higher level than just like, hey, here's a resume, here's a job opening on some giant jobs board, let me submit this and wait for someone to get in touch with me. But the first part of the boot camp, I would say there's like 3 focuses. The first one is we want to kind of introduce our participants to like the modern day career landscape. I think a lot of the pain points that young people have thinking about like how to get started is they don't have very good context for what opportunities are out there. I think, I think they see professional careers as like these big boxes of like, hey, lawyer, doctor, business person, that they don't really get a lot of context at an early age unless maybe they work, maybe their parents are business owners and they're just exposed to more. So a lot of it is introducing them to like, hey, what are the ideal opportunities for an ambitious, more entrepreneurial young person to get started in? And we also focus on mostly like non-technical roles that we place our participants in. So this bootcamp isn't focused on, hey, maybe you're interested in software development, we're going to teach you how to code. Or, hey, like you think you're interested in specifically sales, you're going to do 3 months of sales. Ours more broader based, like entrepreneurial and like very soft skills driven. At the same time, so that first part is kind of career context, like what opportunities are out there, what opportunities are a good fit for my interests and skills. And then really we want to help them build through projects and like content creation, the skills that are actually valuable at this stage that make you hireable, and also help you understand like, would I enjoy more like marketing focused activities and projects, or maybe I am actually a good fit for sales and I didn't realize it, because you come in with those kind of preconceived notions of what sales is, and you think of like that snake oil car salesman type of thing. So we make it very project based. The first month they're getting an introduction to like sales, marketing, operations, and they're doing weekly projects that get them a little bit of like a little taste of those kind of role types. And then the second month is focused on professional writing and content creation and like building a personal brand for yourself. You need to be able to show projects and content that you've created and turn that into a professional portfolio. And if you can do that, then comparing that to, a substantial professional portfolio, I did, 3 projects where, maybe I launched my own online course teaching young kids like some type of skill. I pitched myself to a small business, maybe a local restaurant, like, hey, let me take over your social media for the next 30 days. And I want to drive more customers to your business. Things like that. Or even just like blogging on a consistent basis about ideas that are interesting to you. If you can kind of build that portfolio of projects and content, compare that to a college degree, and the type of resume you usually have at that point, where it's like, hey, I majored in marketing, I sat in these classes, here were my grades. Like, that just doesn't tell me a lot about what you're able to come into my business and execute on. How can you add value?
So do you have to be young to do this, or can it be somebody who's a little older but who doesn't like what they're doing anymore and wants to start over and become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, we tend to, like, our brand is kind of positioned for that younger age. Like, hey, you're entrepreneurial, you're looking for something outside of the typical college path. But we've worked with participants of all ages, but it tends to be in that, either college age or like that young professional age through their 20s, early 30s. But we definitely welcome anybody that could be
They could be in their 50s but young at heart.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what, that's we do these episodes really trying not to nail down right what time period we're in, because we want it to be evergreen, that it's applicable anytime anyone's listening to it. But just on that topic, this could be a very ideal time to be talking about this, because as we're recording this, we're in the middle of coronavirus, and things are going to be different, things are changing, and there's going to be opportunities all over the place, and there's going to be people that have a harsh reality of a job not existing anymore, or they need to make a change. And that might be great, because there might be people listening to this that are thinking right now, what am I going to do? And this might be the opportunity that, hey, this could be the path that's going to get you to that where you wanted to be, that job that you've been in, that you've been there too long to quit, but now all of a sudden it's not there anymore. Here's an opportunity, because I really think this does open the door for a lot of people if they want to go that route. So on that, if someone's listening to this right now thinking, this sounds awesome, really, who is your ideal client?
Yeah, I think the type of person who tends to make a really good fit for Praxis is someone that's entrepreneurial driven. They already have a strong work ethic. They have kind of those fundamental soft skills that are hard to find, and they want to take control for themselves over the start of their career, instead of just kind of following, staying on the conveyor belt of like the typical path. So someone needs to be a little bit rebellious in my mind. But really, I think the most important thing is I think what our successful participants have in common is that they value their own professional and personal growth much more than the average person. They're already, seeking out different podcasts on topics that they're interested in, reading books on their own, and not just what's assigned to them in a school setting. For the 18, 19-year-old who busted his butt waiting tables, all throughout high school, and, knows how to handle customers and build relationships with them. That type of person, I think, is really suited, because, the downside for who Praxis is not a good fit for, it doesn't come with, hey, you're going to get this certificate at the end of the program and congratulations, you completed it. We're really focused on helping you pursue the opportunities and outcomes that you want. So you need to be self-driven while you're in the program to get the most out of it.
Do they have to know what they want to do at the end of the program? Or because you had said earlier, they can come into it thinking, I want to do sales, and realize maybe they're better suited to, writing and marketing or something.
Yeah, I honestly think that's one of the biggest value adds of the program, is that we help you figure out what is a good starting point for you as an individual. But I think what we really do is we break down that myth of, hey, you're 18, you're 21, you're 23, you need to figure out what you're going to do for the next 20 years. That's not realistic. And again, that's kind of what the typical education structure kind of positions you to do. You're going to pick a major, and then you're going to get a job that's related to that major, and then you're going to keep building on that one specific path. I see it more as you're going to take a stepping stone, you're going to step on that stone, and then you're going to, move over and go in different directions. And what we want to do is prepare you to be able to navigate your career on your own long term. So you're not like you're not committed to just like one single path. You're able to adapt as you go and you discover what your interests are. So we spend a lot of time focusing on breaking that down. Like, hey, we are not here to like set you up for the next 20 years. We're here to help you identify like what's a good starting point and then help you build like the mindsets and skills that you can take with you no matter what you specifically do.
So let me get by a mindset that I know a lot of people have. How are they going to be successful if they go through this and they don't finish with a degree?
So, yeah, I mean, one, now more than ever, companies are not looking at your education status. Even like large corporations are moving away from that being like a requirement. And they're looking for, what experience, what skills do you have? Ultimately, that's always what a business is looking for, right? Like as a business owner, your job is to find people that can come in and add value to your company. Now, historically speaking, like that degree has served as a signal that, okay, you're at least of a certain quality. Over time though, like over the last 30, 40 years, everyone has started to go to college. Everyone has started to obtain that degree. So if everybody has it, it's not it's not a very valuable signal to an employer. So what we do in the program is, okay, how can you not just get that initial kind of opportunity through the program, but how can you position yourself to win future job opportunities on your own? And really what we're teaching our participants is how can you actually add value to a business? And then how can you prove that you can add value to that business? And if you're able to do those two things, your degree becomes inconsequential. And that's been proven like with our participants. And it's also been proven outside of just like our program specifically. I think more people than ever are not relying on that degree to win opportunities. But we see our participants 3 to 5 years outside of the program, they're advancing with those companies that they were initially connected with, but they're also going, 1, 2, 3 years out of the program. They're moving on to new companies and different opportunities. And Praxis doesn't have a relationship with those companies, and they're able to go in and win opportunities. And I definitely think there are certain types of companies that are more on the cutting edge more than others when it comes to that. And frankly, for that more entrepreneurial, more ambitious young person, I'd rather go work for that type of company over, hey, I'm going to go to a big four financial firm and get on a career track. That's honestly just kind of less interesting for that type of person.
Now, after the 6-month boot camp, is there ongoing education? Do they come back and do workshops along the way, or are they just done?
Yeah. So one of the really cool things that Praxis does is we really prioritize our community of participants and graduates. And the way I see it is like kind of getting started and getting that first job, as daunting as it seems for, before you accomplish that, I think that's the easy part at the end of the day. And what's cool about Praxis is that, we really want to invest in our like alumni and participant network as a long-term asset. And so they get lifetime access to our community. We have weekly workshops with entrepreneurs and experienced professionals come on. A lot of our alumni start their own like weekly groups. So we have a sales mastermind that an alumni, without asking for permission or anything, he just started doing a weekly mastermind for sales professionals. And so now that's a mixture of graduates that have 1 to 4 years of sales experience, as well as participants that are just starting about the program, and they're joining those weekly calls just to learn more about sales from people at those various stages, which is really cool. And then we have call it a professional our personal development projects group. So anybody that's just working on a side project, whether that's, maybe starting like a side business, or, we right now somebody's building a video game. Or it could just be like, hey, I have a plan for the next 30 days to focus, like get into better fitness routines and things like that. They're meeting weekly to hold each other accountable and like get feedback on whatever their project is. So there's a really strong sense of community. That's something I think is missing from college, but as well as like a lot of the boot camps that have been started in the last few years. Like they're very focused on the boot camp itself. And they're trying to like get as many people to go through them as possible. Whereas our focus is we want to build a long-term community that's valuable for you as you advance through your career, and you can meet, a certain type of like-minded person through the program.
I love that. That's great. I always say this when I went to college. That was a long time ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember, like, again, I was not a huge fan of my, like, sitting, being in K through 12, but at one point I was excited to go to college, and I felt it was going to be different. And then it kind of felt more of the same. And then I started pursuing like outside, interests outside the classroom. And because these were things that were like, I was inherently interested in, and I was seeking out, like I was putting in the effort to like find people that wanted to talk about like economics and stuff. I was able to find people that were also interested in that. And then now you actually have a group of people that's like enthusiastic about what they're studying on their own, instead of, hey, like, I think frankly, most people are at college because they feel like they have to be there. You need to get this degree to get started. And most people are, coming to class in their pajamas, hungover, and, just kind of there for attendance purpose instead of like, hey, I'm here to engage and learn. So it's been really cool to see, participants and alumni, they take our existing curriculum, and then because of the network and the community, they can kind of make of it what they want it to be, which is really cool.
So how long has Praxis been around? And we're getting to the end of our time limit, but I'd like to know, how long have you been around, and, share a success story, a student or something that you can share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So Praxis was founded in 2013, and we launched our very first class in early 2014. And we bootstrapped the business in those early days. So we went from 14 total participants in the first year, then 30, and then around halfway through 2016, we kind of started to grow and take it to that next level. So last few years, we've had just over 100 participants each year go through the program. And then, I have I'll kind of summarize two quick participant stories. One is a participant, Olivia Van Warmer. She went through the program back in 2016, and before Praxis, she was homeschooled her entire life. And then instead of going to college, she spent a year just traveling around the world. And what was really cool about her travel experience is that she initially set out for like a 3-month trip. And then she realized like, hey, I want to keep doing this. So she figured out how to self-fund the rest of her trip, like on the fly, which was a really, really cool thing. And I remember that impressing the team when she was applying to the program. And then through the program, she went and worked for a company called PandaDoc, which is, they're a software startup, and they do like electronic contract agreements and everything. And she started an entry-level sales role. And this is not common, but within a month, they promoted her to an account executive, like closing sales role. And she's still with that company today. And she actually leads a team there now. So she's becoming a manager there. And it's just really cool because she actually, when she came back from her world travels, and she worked at restaurants, She became a sushi chef. She's like, hey, I'm interested in learning this. Like, I'm just going to do this for 6 months. So she did that. So like just the type of attitude and mindset that we look for in participants. And then a more recent participant is Tyler Hawk. He's based out of Atlanta. He was at, like Georgia State, kind of common state university, and was working at an Apple store on like the Genius Bar, kind of like customer service role. And he found Praxis, I think through a podcast, and he went through the program. And like he's just very sharp and kind of just like gets it. Like, you give him a project, he'll kind of figure it out. And so he went and worked at a very early stage company called Meritas, and they hired him remotely. He was the 5th person on their team. They were looking for someone that could do marketing and like customer success, help onboard their new customers. So he actually spent most of his first 6 months in like more of that customer service role, and he was more excited about marketing. But through that customer service experience, he got to learn more about their customers and like why they choose to work with the company. And he like set up their entire onboarding process. So it's not like he went in there and just like was having to deal with customer service inquiries. He was there like helping build the internal operations of the company. And at the same time, he was doing marketing projects on the side. And now, he just finished his like initial 6-month period there. And he positioned himself to take over all their, they didn't have a marketing director before or anything. They're just starting out. They've grown from like 5 to 10 employees. And he was actually promoted to be their first director of marketing shortly after. So
That's
very cool.
Really cool to see. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So I've got one more question before we wrap up, and
sure.
So I'll have you answer this question. Then I want you to share anywhere that people can get more information if they want to contact someone. I know you've got a FAQ on your website and a whole bunch of information. So I want to share all that with you. But there's one thing that keeps grabbing my attention, and it's off topic here completely. And just by what it is, it tells me there's a story behind it, because it's not probably what your typical one be. But tell me about that picture on the top shelf behind you.
That's my daily inspiration right there. Michael Jordan. I grew up, I was born 1990. So right in the middle of his career. But my mom, she was from North Carolina, a huge ACC basketball fan. So I remember watching basketball at like 3 years old, and I was just brainwashed to be a Jordan fanatic. Let's see.
You have the same picture?
Oh, that's awesome. Did you go to the camp?
My kids were at the camp. We've been there a few times, but cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just obsessed with Jordan. And I think I'm more obsessed with Jordan now than I was growing up, because one, it like makes me miss, like, I love the NBA today, but it just makes me miss like the NBA back in the day. And, just a kind of different game on the court and off the court. But really, I get very frustrated when anybody like my age or younger tries to make this argument that like LeBron's a better player than Jordan. It's just insane. But it's funny, like Jordan's a really good example of this. Kobe Bryant's a really good example of this. And like Greg Popovich as a Spurs coach, like it's just fun for me. Like I kind of like study their careers and like just how they approached the game and their professions, and like what can I take away from that and like implement as we're building Praxis and then like as I'm building my career and stuff. But that picture's up there with a photo of my family and a photo of my first dog. So I put them up right at the top there.
That's awesome. Well,
I was wondering how he could see that. You really good eyes, Jeff. I'm like going, I
Well,
see pictures, but I can't see what they're of.
he's an easy one to pick out in a picture. And, if it was something like, one of his dunks or something, it's just a picture, a regular picture. But when it's a picture like that, there's a story or meaning behind it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet.
But tell us how to find out more, how to keep in touch, how to find out more, whatever it is.
Sure. So if you're interested in Praxis, best way to learn more is to go to discoverpraxis.com. And there's a lot of resources on the website about the program, as well as, we have a pretty awesome blog with just like valuable kind of like career launch resources and stuff. But you can get in touch with a team member. You can sign up to attend an info session. We run those weekly. So there's plenty of resources to learn more there. And then that's the best place to go for Praxis. And then I'm probably most active on Twitter. Just my handle's at CameronSorsby.com.
You want to spell that?
CameronSorsby.
Perfect. And I will have those in the show notes. So anyone that didn't get that, you don't have to rewind it. It's in the show notes. You can grab those there. But hey, thank you very much. It was great learning more about it. Great talking with someone that's got the same mindset as who's the best basketball player ever. And no, this was really fun. It was really informative. You guys have some really cool things going on. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you guys to change some lives in the next little bit as we come out of this craziness. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Cameron.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for being with us. I hope you enjoyed that episode and you got a lot of value out of it. Please subscribe and make sure you don't miss any future episodes. And please come and visit our websites, jeffheggie.com and ecibfs.com. Thanks again for being with us and hope to see you next time.